Hey guys, Vlad Moldavskiy from MeetAdvisors.com here. I'm joined with Tricia Meyer from Meyer Law. How are you today?
Great, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. I want to get started and right off the bat ask, what is Meyer Law? What do you guys practice? And maybe give our community a little background.
Sure. So we work with companies of all sizes, from startups all the way up to large corporations. We mostly help technology companies with everything from setting up the business to scaling the business, really. We help with corporate matters, contracts, employment-related matters, and intellectual property.
So before we got on camera, you had mentioned that you spent time in big corporate role. You may want to, do you mind first off touching a little bit on where you spent your time, and then maybe touch on why did you make that transition? Not a lot of people have the confidence in themselves to ever make that leap, but some people who do have that confidence really find it worthwhile and they find it very rewarding. Mm-hmm. So maybe just touch on why you decided to switch over.
Sure. So actually when I went to law school so I could be a products liability litigator or medical malpractice. So I thought I was going to be in a courtroom all day, every day. And then when I got out of law school, I kind of fell into this transactional job and ended up really liking it. So I ended up sticking with it, and I've always been an entrepreneur. My first business I started when I was 27 years old, and I always knew I wanted to start my own firm, but I had young babes at the time, 2 at the time, and just the timing wasn't right. And then finally in 2010, I decided to go out on my own, right in the middle of a recession, which probably, doesn't make so much sense, but it was fine for me. I networked a lot and built my business that way. And it's been really great. And in the meantime, I had 2 additional kids. So now I'm a mom of 4.
Wow.
and then have the firm as well.
So you mentioned networking, and when starting a business, that's so important. How has your ability to network with such a great entrepreneurial community here in Chicago helped elevate your business to the next stage and then to the one after, and then continue?
Yeah, I think people in Chicago are great. I think that if everybody's helping each other, we're all getting a lot further. So I think just sitting down with people and finding out how you can help them and how they can help you, and then really setting your mind to do that, to make introductions and open doors for people that they can't get open on their own. I think that it just all comes kind of full circle.
What have been some of the challenges when growing and scaling your business? It's obviously not a short path. Mably, we launched 9 months ago, and we launched MeetAdvisors about 10 to 12 months ago, and it's still, I feel like we're only 1% of the way there, and we've had probably 50 conflicts come up every single day. So, what are some of the challenges you faced, some of the bigger challenges when growing and scaling?
Yeah, I think first off, kind of explaining how we're different to people. A lot of people hear the word lawyer, they run the other way, or they avoid getting in touch with a lawyer from the onset because they're just dreading it or whatever. They hear horror stories from their friends or whatever. And I think that, that's a challenge, kind of breaking through that and explaining that, we're different because we're entrepreneurial. We're super transparent with billing. We don't charge for 2 attorneys' time if we're both on a phone call helping a client. We provide a lot of value, especially with connections as well. And I think kind of breaking through the traditional stereotype has been a challenge for us. And then just trying to find the time to fit it all in as a mom of 4. There's a lot to juggle at all times, but it's just, some days are better than others, but it's just kind of figuring it out and making it happen, I guess, at the end of the day.
So going back, I want to kind of take a step back. You mentioned that you work with a lot of technology companies. Is that something that you just kind of fell into, or is there a reason that you're working with so many technology companies?
So I fell into it, and I thankfully I fell into it because I would hate to be in a courtroom every day. Mm-hmm. So thankfully I fell into the technology kind of scene right out of law school, and then I moved to Colorado actually after law school, and then moved back here 3 years later because this is where I'm originally from, and started networking here, and then kind of got into the technology scene here. And for me, that scene kind of resonates with me because I'm so entrepreneurial again. I just feel like it's just a really good fit.
And there's so many, there's obviously in Chicago, especially as of late, there's so many of these business to business, business to consumer technologies, and such high demand for attorneys really, helping out with that whole transformation of the business and really building it.
And it's a specialty. I mean, especially with these tech companies, a lot of times they'll develop things and they won't have the proper documentation in place, and they don't realize that the product that they're developing they don't even own because they don't have the appropriate contracts in place. Or you have two founders who, they have a great idea together and they go off to try to build a business, but they don't get a founder's agreement in place. And then, next thing you know, a year down the road, something's happening where they really need to look back at that founder's agreement. So, we see people kind of getting into issues with that from time to time, and so we try to help kind of educate people up front on that because we see people making the same mistake in those two arenas a lot.
How important is it to, well, first off, when you're just getting started with a tech company or you're just really starting to see these results and there's growth, how important is it to, first off, keep consulting with an attorney while there's transformation, there's successes coming your way? And obviously, why would it be important to make sure that you continue your relationship with the attorneys that you have and that they're by your side, kind of helping you grow and you're helping them grow, together?
Right. So it's important, especially before you scale and you go out there and, let's say you're providing a product or a service, you have a contract between you and your customer. You want to make sure that that's tight. So you're not going out there with a contract that has all these loopholes in it and you're signing it over and over and over again. You want to at least get the business on a firm footing so that then you're not setting yourself up for unnecessary risk down the line.
Got it. One thing I like to ask our entrepreneurs that come to MeetAdvisors.com is, what's one piece of advice you would give to our community, and not just our community, but really just any entrepreneur out there that's just getting started, has this wonderful idea, but may not understand marketing or may not understand something else? What is that one principle that all entrepreneurs should live by?
Well, from a legal perspective, I think that, if you're starting a business with somebody else, it's very important to get a founder's agreement in place. If you're developing a product, you want to make sure that the ownership rights are tight, because later on down the line, if you're seeking funding, they're going to come back and look at all of that and make sure that your ducks are in a row, so to speak. So I think that's important.